And don't feel shy. It's nothing about, I'm not sitting here as a school teacher and talking. I just want to make sure that is, you guys are actually benefiting this, and this is the most important thing. Otherwise, I don't feel justified what I am getting paid from, Vasalva and Kanna. So we want to make sure that is, you guys actually benefiting? Did anybody make an effort? It's been 14 days now. Last we spoke. So did anybody make any database? And I'm not asking the people who are actually already been doing it, because I'm hoping they all have a database. Did anybody new at least make an effort?
Based on the chat log, yes, one person has so far. Some may
Okay.
be shy to unmute and speak, so don't worry. Use the chat log definitely. And
Yeah.
yes, someone in the name of Funny Guy says that he's started his database as
Yes.
well. Okay,
Right.
good. Yeah.
Right. So I'm happy at least few guys are actually taking an effort to do it. And again, as I said, that this is not about, put you on a spot and try to actually, I'm acting as a teacher here now. That's not the purpose. It's about help you guys, right? I mean, to help you, to take you out of that comfort zone. And then, we want you to be successful in that. Okay, so few of them have actually made it. What's your experience? Anybody is willing to share? Like, I mean, I see a few yes and a couple of no, and hats off to the guy who said no. So you know what? Let me know if you need any help or something. Although, like, I mean, I won't have a lot of time to actually help you, but at least if there is some things we can discuss that. But again, I ask you, I seriously urge you to make that database, because without that we spoke about the 3 yes, right? So it is very important to have the database. So what did you do to make do you have a DB company you suggest? What do you mean by the database company? So a database company, it's not a database company. So it's called the CRM, customer relationship management. Like, there is a lot of CRMs available for the real estate specific. Salesforce is one, IX Contact, and ICOM, and there are quite a few of them. I'm not here to actually. You probably wanted to actually, or maybe check in your brokerages what is widely used. So they may have some kind of agreement. I don't know. Maybe you can check that, or you make just Google it. There are so many CRMs are available. You have to see, first of all, when you're signing up for a CRM, make sure where you are in the career, right? So maybe, for example, Salesforce is a very sophisticated CRM, which is actually they charge you more, but at the same time they have the functionalities is really there are a lot of functionalities there. So if you are actually going to be a beginner, do you need that kind of sophisticated CRM? That's a question you need to ask yourself, right? How much details you need it? Because some of the CRMs, I know there is a CRM which is called IX Contact, IX Contact. So they will actually, like, I mean, you can sell emails, and you can send emails to all your database contact, and you can put reminders, you can put all those, like, I mean, birthday wishes and all that. So you have to see that how much time you're going to spend. You need to see that which CRM is suitable to you, and then sign up that. Yes, there are a lot of companies, and then you need to actually pick something which that suits you. But again, if you are a beginner, again, guys, be mindful how much money you're going to spend on this ones, right? I mean, because if you're getting it that kind of money and all that, it's fine. But initially, if you are just a beginner and all that, if I were you, I'll just go with simply in that Excel contact right now to start with that. And then once you start creating, once your system and there, once increase your database increase, you can always look into signing up some CRMs and all that. Anybody who's actually experienced people wants to talk something, so a few tips about uh, database. And again, this is not, I'm not asking to share any of your trade secrets, which is just that those who are actually doing it. Anybody wants to share some best practices? Okay. Going once. All right. Okay. All right. So again, guys, make sure if you don't have an CRM and all that, make sure it is important that is you create one. So otherwise that system, if you don't have any proper system and all that, that will definitely going to get you into trouble when you actually grow in this business. So the sooner the better, and especially when it's in the beginning and all that, that's the times you really wanted to actually, start creating this one. And we spoke about the door knocking. I mean, couple of scripts and all that. So in the one of the door knocking script is this. Again, big disclaimer: you cannot do the door knocking at this point because of the COVID restriction. So be mindful about the area and the your brokerage and the local communities rule. Yeah, municipality rule. So I'm not saying that you need to do the door knocking right now, but at the same time, it is important that is you learn these scripts, what you need to do, what when you're actually start doing this, when the COVID start gets settled, or whenever you're actually, this thing is starting. So make sure this ones, and this is also, I have actually sent it to Kanna, or maybe I will send it to him again. So the key is this kind of script, you have to actually practice it yourself. And before you go for door knocking, apart from what we mentioned about the door knocking tips and all that, and then we'll talk about that. So when we are actually going for that, this script, you must need to actually practice it yourself. Some of them, for example, is anybody who has actually done a door knocking, can you share their experience? Either it's chat box or I just want to make sure that we are all benefiting to each other. Like it's so just that anybody wants to done in the past, like what's your thoughts about it? If you can unmute yourself and speak, that will be great. If not, put it on the chat box, please.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that did some door knocking. So yeah,
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
can share to know your thoughts. That'll be great.
Yeah. Really must have a script when knocking. Good. I know. Thank you. And yes. So the reason is when you actually go and start opening the door, and if you're not, when somebody opens the door, as I said, that apart from the knowledge and what what is happening in your area, you also need to know how to start that conversation, right? I mean, it is very important. Morning. Could you please advise on how to buy a property management company database? Okay. I didn't understand your question. What do you mean by property management company database?
I believe he's speaking about a database that would manage your clients. Not too sure what property management means. Suresh Kumar, if you want to expand on that, can you describe more?
Can you unmute yourself, Suresh? And
Hi, good morning. Actually, I'm trying to get a property management company's database. So like company phone number, email address, like that.
property manager. So are you talking about the property management? I mean, are you the builders or the condominium property management?
Yeah, condominium property management.
Property cap management, that is, you have to go in a condominium corporations, but it will be really hard for you. What are you trying to achieve here? So you always make sure that is when you're actually trying to get that, what exactly are you trying to, so what you have to do, if it is a database, it's not going to actually help you much. If I were you, my recommendation, or people who are on the phone who has done that, can also actually correct me. So the best approach for that is select few condominium in your area. Are you trying to sell condominium? Are you trying to sell pre-construction or a resale? What's your idea here?
So for me, I also have another business like locksmith business. So I'm trying to like work with them doing both, like
Okay. All right.
commercial.
Okay. So, like, I mean, you can go to the condominium corporation, the website, but you will get all the pretty much all the property management, their board of directors and the managers not got contact detail and all. So that's one. They don't actually, in my knowledge, I don't think, I mean, there is a database available per se, because those ones are actually, like keep changing. Their board of directors and all will change, right? So you can select few condominiums in your area and then specifically target to that. I don't think there is a database per se. I have not at least heard about it. Is anybody on the call? Is that, do you guys know?
Yeah, just to give some tips on this matter, I don't think there's a specific database that has all of this information. Maybe someone does have it, but getting your hands on it might be a little bit tough.
Yeah.
I worked with a lot of condominiums before actually coming into the real estate industry. Worked with a lot of condo developers. Concord ADEX was one of the major ones I worked with. And here's a simple tip. If you want to get a hold of condominium corporations, property management, in this case, Suresh Kumar, you have a locksmith side business that you also do. Makes sense. You want to make sure the condo calls you for any locksmith purposes, right? There's a lot of situations like that. So in these type of situations, like one small, tip that I can give you, there's a company called Max TV, and Max TV caters out to many it caters out to many condominium corporations and caters out to a lot of real estate agents in case you want your advertisements, electronic advertisements on the elevators, inside the elevators. In certain condos there's they have the mechanical television
Yes, yes, yeah.
that has runs many multiple ads. One of the major companies in Southern Ontario is Max TV. You can reach out to them. They have multiple contracts with multiple condo corporations, and what they want you is you to advertise your services there. In this case, you can always reach out to them for real estate purposes, advertising your real estate, and then come to know exactly what are some of the condos that your advertisement is going to be placed in. Once you know that, then you have a direct contact with the condo that is actually advertising your real estate listings or ads. Those are some unique backdoor type of ways. Just because I was in that industry before, that I can share with you. Yeah, so there's always different things that.
Yeah.
If there's no one straight road. Many people think that you can just go onto Google and find out and simply download a software that'll give you your answer. No, you got to do a lot of research and you got to speak to a lot of people just to get some ideas, and that goes for everything, right? But
Exactly.
since you just brought that up, Suresh Kumar, I just want to share that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, no, good. Yeah, and also actually, to Kanna's point, there is also actually things like that real estate, the directory, right? I mean, there are a lot of channels you probably wanted to actually utilize all those, tap into all those ones, so you will get. And again, collecting all the condo, that will be really a daunting task for you. So you probably wanted to select few areas and then at least start with 20, 25 of them, and then you take it from there, right? Okay, and somebody actually sent a message. Yes, I found starting with the introducing myself homeowners with my card and providing them with the useful. Yes, absolutely. Like, I mean, basically when we were talking about this again, when this door knocking and all that, when it opens up, what you need to do it obviously is, introducing yourself. You need to first of all do the research prior to door knocking, like, the area, as I mentioned last time. It's important, be prepared to go, expect they're going to ask questions if they open the door, right? I mean, again, the disclaimer is 99 doors are not going to open. You're only looking for that one door that's going to open for you, that's going to talk to you, right? That's the most important thing. It is never, don't think that it is a waste of time. It is not a waste of time. It is absolutely, for there are multiple reasons. One is actually you're advertising yourself, right? You're actually getting, getting your name up there. So people will actually, as I mentioned, when people will do only the business once they have the trust in you, when they know that you are actually an active agent. All of a sudden when you actually go and start asking for business, it never happens. So that's where the door knocking will really help you. And it's also, like, I mean, you're staying connected with the community. So that's why I'm saying that you're not going to get tons of business through door knocking. 99 doors may not open, only one will open, but your watch is only for that one who's going to open the door for you. So that's the mindset you need to have it when you're starting with that. So apart from, somebody just mentioned, yes, like, I mean, you introduce yourself, absolutely. But prior to that, make sure that you're doing some research about the area. like which area you're going to door knock. Again, farming is an important thing. Like, even somebody just asked about, I need to get all the database, all the property management database. You Real estate is, it never works in that way, because you can't be an expert in entire Ontario or entire GTA or entire, Markham, for example, or entire Brampton or Mississauga. You have to select a farming area, because it's like, you're seeding the plant there, and then, it's actually, that's where you have to really look at the farming. The farming is, you are an expert in that certain pockets, and that's where you have to really go into, put your name up there, and that's where your main focus is. Again, you have to select what area is actually, suitable to you, based on your knowledge, based on your connection, based on your, the competitions and all that. So it is never a, you don't want to actually go and, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be doing business in where you are not there, but your focus area, there should be a focus area. So when you're doing the door knocking, what is your farming area? And learn about that area, such as the amenities, the schools, and if there is any houses on a sale, do some research on the house which is already on the sales. How much is that price? Because the moment when they open the door, what's the question they're going to ask? I see there is a house on the, in the next streets, how much is sale for? Because people wanted to compare, right? I mean, that's the benchmarking they're going to use it. So you need to know those details very well. If you're not able to answer those one, it's not a good impression you're going to actually put that. So it is, apart from introducing yourself and all that, those homework you need to do before you go for door knocking. And some of the script, this is again, I'm not saying that you by heart this one. Take a picture of this, and I will also actually send this email to Kanna, and he can probably actually share it with you all. But take a picture or make a note of this. I'm not saying exactly word by word you want to say. Some of those things, this will help you to actually make it your own style. Like the basic thing is obviously, how do you actually open it? And again, some other tips, what I would say is, you make sure that is, of course, you dress up properly, like professionally dress up. When you open the door, before you, once you knock the door, before they open, hang the flyers and or whatever you have it, put it on the doorstep or it's on the handle. If something, whatever the flyer you're making it, step back, because you don't want it to stand in front of their face. So, and once they open it, you can use something like, hello, so Matt, I'm from, Home Like Future. I'm just wondering, see if you have any thoughts of moving in the next little, because the thing is, if you actually start introducing and take a lot of time, or you can also say that, I'm just here, introducing myself. I'm actually looking for any or updating my database. That's another thing you can actually use that, because immediately it depends how comfortable you are in saying that. That's why there are different scenarios I have put. If some people are actually, like to say that whether we're planning to move or something, or you can also say that you're updating your database. So that is another way of getting into it. And also make sure that is, when you are taking the phone numbers and the database and all that, ask them, who's the homeowner, like who's the decision maker. That is the most important thing. So, the key is, if somebody opens the door, you need to get their contact number, and the person who's actually going to make the decision. So that's the important thing, because you're not going to get a listing on the first, when you do the door knocking, right? I mean, that's not the thing. Like, you're for next conversations, what informations you're collecting it from them. So that's an important thing. Anybody wants to add anything to it? Okay. Right. So again, now we spend some time on prospecting, and right, I mean, and so prospecting is, again, just to refresh everybody's memories, is basically, finding out who's going to buy your product and services from you. So that's what it's prospecting, and identifying who all are the audience, right? So that's the important thing. So we mentioned about the prospecting is people whom you know, connecting with people whom you know, and people whom you don't know. Can you all see my screen? Hello?
I don't think so. Let's try this again. Go ahead now. And if you can just add that person online.
Okay. Can you see
Yeah,
what do you all see? That prospecting?
yeah, that's good.
Prospecting, right? Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. You're. Do you want me to add all of them? No.
Yes, please.
Okay. I think I've added all. All right. Okay. All right. So prospecting, we mentioned about that, like prospecting. So the most important thing is, use a trash can nearby, right? And the reason why I'm saying that, it is not that, or if you're talking to 100 people, maybe only 10 is going to mature out of that, right? I mean, so the 100 of them, although when I say that there is some of them, you need to keep on filtering your database, right? There will be some people, that absolutely they're not going to do business with you for multiple reasons, right? Maybe they have moved out, or maybe they have gone through a separation or family issue, or they must have gotten a real estate license. So that's why it is important to clean up your database, every time, every month on it. That should be your document, like it's a which you constantly going to update that. That's why when you're prospecting, use the trash can. That means some of them which does not make sense, you don't need to keep those numbers in your database. You can keep it in your personal phone or some things, but not in the database. Database is specifically strictly going to check that who's going to do business with you, right? And somebody, can I request you to put on a mute? Okay. All right. Yeah. And the reason is, when you're prospecting, if you don't use the trash can, if you don't actually filter that, it is very important to to do that. If you're not going to filter, that's what happens is the bad leads hide will the great ones from you, because you must have already experienced this. Sometimes you are spending a lot of time with the people who are not going to actually do business with you, but at the same time, they are actually your time killers. So you don't want to do that. So it's a bad leads. That's the one you need to come immediately actually take that off from your from your database. And how do you actually do that? And that's where the pre-qualifying is going to come, right? And as I mentioned, that overcome the prospecting phobia. So, the main things what people, real estate agents, they don't do, or they have it, is the prospecting phobia, because the fear of failure. They think that, or they're not going to do business with me. What am I going to say, that I'm going to get rejections? Those are the things which is generally will stop us in prospecting. So you need to actually overcome with that. You have to think about it. There are so many other jobs. Have you ever thought about it? Why do you actually take the real estate license? And everybody will say that because freedom, money, and the flexibility, right? Because that's the reason there are so many other jobs up there, but you still decided to take the real estate business, because you think that there is tons of money. You're not answerable to anybody. You're on your own boss, and you have got the flexibility there. So when you know that that's what your ultimate goal, then there's no point in getting into that prospecting phobia. So you need to come out of that. It is up to you to actually make that happen, right? So this is something, the reason why I actually show you this one. Never give that excuse, okay, there is a lot of competitions and there is not enough business. So when you see that 62% of the business is actually still going through the real estate agents, 32 for directly and 32% is internet. When I say the internet, that is something which you can definitely actually tap into it, whether it is whatever the websites and all that. So the buyers or people actually learn to know the open house and the sellers and the newspapers, magazines and all are very minimal, but the major thing chunk is still through the agents and through the internet media. So it is very important that is you have the presence in you need to have the digital footprint, and that's where you are able to actually get into your buyers and know more about the prospecting there. Yeah. So this is some things you wanted to actually take a picture of this. The reason is why people you want prospect, real estate agents. It's as simple as that. That's the number one reason when real estate agents won't be successful. So you want prospect, and you want follow up, right? I mean that's some things people actually tend to leave up because you talk to them once, they may show some interest. Sometimes they may not show any interest, but you cannot be judgmental in the first conversation, right? I mean you have to actually see that. Remember the last time which I was mentioning to you, the fourth time is where that actual prospect will mature, right? So you cannot actually decide on the first, second, third meeting because you need to develop that trust with them. So its follow up is an important thing to have that. And bad experience throw you into the downward spiral, which means you're always thinking that what, I spoke to this person, I mean he didn't show any interest, this business is too competitive, I'm not going to make much of commission. So it is that the bad experience, and you may have had actually experience, but that doesn't mean all your customers are going to be there. Still think about it, there is a lot of people actually still successful. So what are they doing different than what you are not doing it, right? That's the question you have to ask that. And again, thinking this business is too hard. Absolutely, it is a very hard business. Like it's a very competitive. There are a lot of things are happening in the market today. Keep on changing it. Now, yesterday, the mortgage thing actually came up with that. You have to keep up to date about all this information. Otherwise, when you talk to the customer, if you're not able to give those informations and the guidance to them, you lose your that traction there. And making the mistake over and over, like again, taking customers, not pre-qualifying them, and spending some time, like showing 50 houses, not having any follow-up. So those mistakes every time when we actually talk about that in our next class, when we talk about the customer service, I'll actually walk you through that, what you have to do on each showing. Like, is anybody wants to talk about that when you actually take your customer 3, 4, 5 showings, what you guys do? Anybody wants to share some tips or best practices? How do you actually manage the showing process? Anybody chat? No? Okay. All right. So, and then like creating a team, that's also an important thing, because you have to have that's some things which we spoke about, that the system, like creating a team is basically whether internally with your within your brokerage, or you have your anybody as a business partner or something, and creating a team, that is you must need to have that team basically. And also your governors, right? I mean, who's your lawyer, who's your mortgage guy, who's your movers, right? I mean, who's the people who are actually going to do the handyman. So because all those things are very important for you to be a successful real estate agent. You're not personally doing it, but you need to have that governance, because people are actually going to, when they're moving in, you need to have those kind of connections. You don't want to tell your customer, go figure out the lawyer, go figure out the mortgage guy, right? I mean, so who's your team? Because ultimately, what these people service is also a reflection about you as a real estate agent. If a lawyer messes up, lawyer can easily get away with that, but you will lose that customer forever. So it is very important that is you creating the team is more efficient, and you trust them, and you understand that how they actually operate. And also we there are some expenses in the beginning, and you don't want to actually get really trapped into that, focusing on that there's no money coming in. That's not the way you actually start a business. Any business, if you actually start that, there is some initial cost apart from your insurance, and the RICO insurance and all that, so that the registration fee and all that. There is also some other insurance, because some other expenses, such as creating your flyers, creating your website, and because your digital footprint is the most important thing in today's world. Anybody who's going to do any business, the first thing what we all do is check Google, right? Or check the digital footprint. So it is important that is you must have a decent digital footprint, because otherwise unless if you're actually going to have, like, really established and all that, it's fine. But it's those who are actually new, you must create a proper digital footprint and think about those expenses and find out the right service provider for that. Do we have any messages in the chat box? Let me check. I don't think so, right?
Delano added a point about sharing knowledge of the areas that you're currently showing a property in. I believe that was in reference to when we can start door knocking and advertising ourselves.
Okay, share knowledge, the area if you are showing the property in. Yeah. You mentioned about websites. Can you explain if you know how to link personal website to MLS site? MLS site, I don't know about that, honestly. Can we do that? Can anybody actually, someone asked that, can we explain if you know how to link personal website to MLS site? I think you can, right?
Yeah, in this case, you definitely
Yeah.
can. You'd have to
Yeah.
reach out to the who's handling your
website,
handling your website,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then they need to get authorization from MLS to be sharing the data, vice versa. So, Manshkur, I would recommend you to whoever is developing your website, reach out to them, and they will then ask you to get permission from MLS to get that information to show the information on your website.
Yeah, yeah, all those listing and all that, whatever the MLS listing, and make sure that is your, of course, your person who's developing the website will also actually recommend you. As I mentioned, select the areas. You don't want to put all the MLS listing in your website, right? It doesn't actually help you much. So you have to really filter it, which area you're going to put it in, and whether it is Markham or Mesa, wherever you are actually residing in that area, or where your customers are based in, put that area, and then talk to your the person who's developing the website.
And also, since we're on the topic of website and we have nearly 100 people here, I just want to let everyone know, do visit Home Life Future, our website. It's very well versed. Icon is the one that manages it. It's actually through Home Life head office branch. In this case, you'll be able to see all of our office listings, who the agent is, right when the listing goes up on MLS. Everything is connected. And there's a lot that you can see on our Home Life website as well. So do, when you get a chance, dwell through that and see what's there.
Kanna, can I take 1 minute?
Yeah, definitely. Of course you can. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Mr. Govardhanan. Good morning.
Good morning. Team. Hi, how are you?
Thank you. Thank you for helping us. In my side, I was listening half because it was a busy morning for me. I was listening half. When you very information session today, you was telling the main part of the prospecting. That's the blood of our business. There was one point I like to add here. There are companies, real estate companies. We still develop some franchises. Different franchise having a different tools they develop for the real estate salespeople. Even though Home Life franchise is one of the best franchise, but still Home Life franchise develop. There's one tool for the door knocking side. That's called sweepstakes. What does that means is most of the Home Life agents should know this one. If not, please listen this one. The head office have a partnership with one of the companies, sweepstake company. That's when we can print out once a year. They will draw the sweep tickets. That's for $10,000 gift. What will happen if the agent, for example, I pick myself as an agent, I'm printing out 10,000 sweepstakes. What will happen? They will send back to, for example, I'm knocking the door. I'm delivering the free sweepstakes. You can see some malls. They always say free vacations, something like that. Okay, you can tell them, you print it out, your name, the email address, and the phone number, and send it back. Send it to this particular company. It's a free sweepstake. What they will do, 99% of the sweepstake they send back to you. Then you can collect the information. For example, you are door knocking one of the street, Oldfinch Avenue. For example, today you are knocking Oldfinch Avenue. You are giving a free sweepstake. If it is anything free, the sellers are happy. They will listen. According to statistics, 23% of the people are sending the sweepstakes to get the prize. In this case, you can collect the information, data information from that one. Plus, we have some tools to talk to the clients. That's one of the things Home Life developed, and many agents use that one, and they get they develop the database through that system. I thought I can add this one to the group and say hi to you guys. Okay, let you guys continue. Thank you.
Thank you for adding that, Selva. You're right, absolutely. Having that knowledge is the key here. Like be prepared yourself. You know that what is the brokerage is actually offering. If there is some things, those are informations you need to have that, and you don't want it to get those questions. You say that, oh, I saw that future Home Life Future is offering something. Do you guys know that? So it is important you do that homework, because the more confidence you show with the people whom you're talking, they're actually going to have an interest in dealing with you, and show that, otherwise, if you don't have that confidence, obviously, you're losing that customer there itself.
Definitely, and just to go on with what Salvana said was, you have to leverage the brokerage's success and also the branding success. Yeah, I just mentioned right before Salvana brought up the sweet takes that take a look at our Home Life Future website. On top of our Home Life Future website, also look at Home Life International website, which is our franchise head company, right? And once you go there, you will find all of these details, like exactly what Salvana said. The $10,000 sweepstakes is a great way to promote yourself. We actually brought that up in one of our in-house classes a few years back when the pandemic wasn't here, and we brought up that and we spoke about that. And at one point, they also offered $100,000. So use many of the information that's available to everyone publicly online through our website, Home Life Future. If you just Google it up, it'll come up, and also Home Life International, which is the head office website. You'll find all of the details there. And if anyone needs any information, additional information, let us know. Give me a call directly, and I can tell you exactly where to find certain marketing tools and techniques, especially when door knocking does start. But always remember, leverage the success of the brand that you represent. It's one of the most important things that you must do if you want to represent the brand well, and if you want to have good rapport with the person that you are engaging with, so which are prospective clients, right? So definitely don't forget that part. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And again, this is more important for people who are actually new to this business. The reason is many of their, so I've heard this questions multiple times. I don't have much of background to talk about it. I don't have any listing. So how do I actually, show my background or success story? Those who are actually established, maybe people have got, you can say that, but that's where you have to really leverage your brokerage. You can say that, you guys, I am working for a company where 300 people are working. Like, I've got a support system as a brokerage who's actually well established in the market for the last whatever the number of the years, right? So you need to, those who are actually new, you're not talking about yourself, you are talking about where you are from, and where you belongs to, that the parties behind you. Like, there is around 400 agents, 400 brains behind you to support the process. So that's where you need to really leverage that, right? So there is some chat. Let me see. After a few showings, it's very important to get the feedback from the clients about, they saw from the feedbacks, you will learn more about the information that exactly clients. Yes, absolutely. So when we are actually, again, this is not just specifically to door knocking. When we are talking about, even when you're doing open house, when you're talking to the in prospecting per se, like any prospecting, when you're doing it, you must actually have to have that kind of process in place. You need to know that who you are, what you're talking, and how the market is. It's very important to actually keep on practicing. And for where do you gain those knowledge? You have to actually spend minimum half an hour in the MLS on a daily basis. I was asking you, how do you actually manage your schedule? The first 3 hours in a day, have you spent anything which is related to real estate business? If you're a full-timer, you must, if you have, the answer is no, then I can tell you that is you're actually you're going to set yourself for failure. So if you're actually a full-timer, your morning should actually, in the first 3 hours in the morning, you must do something related to real estate, whether it is checking in the MLS or checking in the, market updates or informations about your areas or something, some new listings. It is important to have those informations in your fingertips, right? And when we are showing, and we will also actually talk about this in length, what, how do you, the customer service, but you're absolutely, somebody actually put a message when you're showing, ideally, when you do the showing, 3 to 5 showing, you have to sit with the, the buyer and walk them through that, what they liked on each one of them. Because if you, first of all, you don't want it to block at least more than 5 houses in a day, because you will be confusing. And 5 is also actually, it's a good number. Okay, let me back up. Ideally, if possible, and it's sometimes it can be very challenging, you should, once you actually do the pre-qualifying, and we will talk about that, what's pre-qualifying. So once we do the pre-qualifying and all that, if possible, you yourself should go and see those houses, right, before you take your customer. It is not possible in my, and I understand, but where it's possible, right, if you can go and see yourself, and next day when you take your customer, like you will be really showing you that the professionalism, like, I mean, in the small things, you're not going to find out where the lockbox is kept, and how do you open that, where the bathroom, whereas you are actually walking them in. When you are taking, you have already seen the property and showing it to them, there's nothing like it, right? I mean, you will be more confident when you're showing some things which you already know about it. It is not, and I understand it may not be feasible every time, but where it's possible, do that. So that's one. The second thing is, somebody just put the message in that chat box. You're absolutely right. When you actually do the showing, at least 3 to 5 houses in a day, sit with them, walk them through that, what you liked in house number A, house number B, house number C, because that's where you're going to, it's going to help you to filter down. You don't want to block about 50 houses and showing them and not reaching anywhere, because it's a waste of your time. It is also actually, the client will get frustrated with your service. They think that, what, he's not showing anything what I wanted. That's not what, and I did not like 50 houses because none of them were actually not meeting my needs. So you don't want it to get into that. So it is important for each 3 to 5 showing, sit with them, spend some time. What do you like in them? And that will also actually, help you to keep filtering that, what their likes and what they want and what their need, right? So we spoke about this. This is again the 3S. We are talking about your strategy and the schedule and the system. The system is something, again, where the business is coming from. How do you actually manage that? Who are your governors? Like, how do you actually put the paper into mortgage? When you're doing the pre-qualifying, how do you do that? And who's going to be the lawyer? All those things, like the chain of governors, you need to actually have that systems and that. And the schedule, as I just mentioned, you're the first 3 hours in a day, like how much time you're spending in for real estates. How do you actually manage those things in the prospecting and all that? And what's the strategy? Where are you actually prospecting? Do you have any farming? Do you have any specific areas? Are you condo specialist? Are you townhome specialist? Like, what's the strategies? You need to know that. Or are you only focusing on, pre-construction? So that is based on what is your expertise. You need to actually have that 3 system. So again, how do you, the creating networks, again, rule number 1, knowing what to say, right? When you're actually prospecting, it is important. Again, I can't reiterate that this is absolutely something which you can control, that knowing what to say and learn about that, right? I mean, nobody can't actually, we all are grown up adult. So you need to know that the rule number 1 is knowing what to say. When you actually pick up the call, we always expect when you're calling up somebody, you have to leave a voice message. Because, think about that. If somebody picks up that phone, it's fine, you talk about that. Or what if you have to leave a voice message? That's the kind of preparations you wanted to do it. Expect that the person is not going to pick up. In that way, you will prepare your message to leave a voice message, right? So when somebody picks up that, you're going to actually talk in that style, like, okay, this is, so in that way, you already know what you're going to say then. And expect questions. Obviously, they're going to ask some questions. So can prepare to answer those one. What's the market like? What's the prices are going up? As I mentioned last time, you don't want it to say the market is really hot, right? I mean, then somebody who's actually planning to buy it will say that, okay, so let me wait for some more time. Let me cool off the market. So you wanted to actually always, probe them. What are you actually planning to do it? Are you an investor? Are you buying? Are you planning to sell? right? So your response should be, it depends. So what are you actually planning to do it? So, take them to the next level of conversation in that. Generally, people like to ask, in a general party kind of a conversations, how's the market? When you say introduce yourself, they'll say that, how's the markets? What do you think about the interest rate? And what is it a good time to buy or a sell? So, instead of you saying that, okay, it's a buyer's market, it's a seller's market, hold your comments. Remember, telling is not selling. Selling is more listening, right? So if you think that you are a good chatter, then you are in the wrong business. You're not a good sales guy then. A sales guy's job is listening, right? I mean, and then you provide the solution to them. So it's always bite your tongue when you're actually, somebody asks that. So you don't want to jump and say that, this is a seller's market or a buyer's market and all that. Hear the conversations, what do they want to do it? Based on that, you actually adjust the conversations. Yes, it's a seller's market, but at the same time, there is a great opportunities for buyers because interest rate is good. That's where you need to actually take the conversations. You can only do that once you know about the business, right? So pre-qualifying is not about just the mortgage, right? Pre-qualifying is, there are two parts of pre-qualifying. One is the financial readiness. That's where the mortgage is. The second thing is, do they have the desire to buy it, right? I mean, are they ready to move it? How motivated are they to do pre-qualifying? Equally, it's important. People may have money, but not necessarily they're motivated to move for different reasons. Maybe somebody is actually the streets, they like it, the neighborhood, they like it, or the kids are going to school, or whatever the reason. Doesn't mean they're not actually financially qualified. But at the same time, on the other side, they will be highly motivated, but they don't have the finance to move, right? They don't actually, they have got bankruptcy, they've got line of credits, and all those issues are there. So either way, it's not a good thing for you, right? So pre-qualifying should be a combination about both. Are they financially qualified? Are they motivated to move? So that's what the pre-qualifying process. Many of the real estate agents actually make that mistake about just financially pre-qualifying. It's not going to end there. So those are actually your time wasters. And especially investors, so it is actually, you have to be really careful. They may be having the money, but they have no desire to buy it. They're just actually doing it. So you don't want it to actually waste your time. That's where I was telling you, the bad leads will actually, take you off from the good leads, right? So it is very important that is, you need to pre-qualify that. Pre-qualifying will set you apart from competition because, you're also actually, you're serious. You're actually, giving that seriousness to your customer. So it will actually set you apart, because it's not that all of a sudden somebody say that, oh, I want to buy a house. You take your car and, you start showing them. So, it doesn't work in that way. So that is, you're not doing any homework. So that will actually only going to set you for frustrations at some time, right? And pre-qualifying will look more professional and effective way of managing your time, because you're not spending a whole lot of time, because once you're just only doing the mortgage part of it, and you haven't done any pre-qualifying, or not done any kind of what is their motivation level, they're just going to take it slowly, right? I mean, and that's where for 6 months, 7 months, you keep showing 550, 60 houses. They're not making any decision. So you want to make sure that you're managing your time also effectively, and more control with your customer, because that's where some of the questions you can say that when you do the pre-qualifying, and I'll show you the pre-qualifying script as well. So when you do the pre-qualifying, okay, you mentioned you want to buy a house in Markham, right? In Markham, and not again, Markham is a very broad statement. Markham exactly, whatever the areas and this street, and these are the areas you said that you want, Markham West, East, or whatever the areas, right? So when you start showing houses, they say that, for example, hey, I didn't like this house. This is not the area I said that. So not in a condescending way, you can actually really reconnect the conversation. So when we met with you on April 10th, you mentioned you want me to show you the houses in this area. So is it my understanding is still correct, or do you want me to change that area? So that's the way you will have more control with your customer, right? I mean, more control with the pre-qualifying when you do that in the beginning of this process. You should never actually take a customer without pre-qualifying for showing, or even for, like, when you're selling or investment. So it's make sure that is 100% of your customers should be pre-qualified. Again, I'm not just talking about the mortgage part, it's talking about the readiness to do transaction with you. Any questions so far? Is there any messages in the chat box? I'm not seeing any chat box. Okay, chat box is clear. Any comments, guys, so far? Are you guys with me?
Yeah, that's great so far.
Okay.
Great script to go through, right? And what to realize when engaging with clients, and especially their mindset as well. Are they ready to actually buy or sell? I think that's fairly important.
Okay. All right. Good.
Small suggestion.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So even as you're pre-qualifying and you're informing them about the market and things like that, it's good to find out where they are getting their information from, knowledge-wise. So are they relying on the news or whatever it is? It's good to have a conversation with them and figure that out, because as much as you want to be the only source of information, you also have to have a response for what they're seeing on TV and what they're reading on the internet as well. Because you could show houses and they might think, oh no, this house is only worth 750 or whatever. So it's good to find out where they're drawing their information from. You might not be able to ask it directly, but as a source of conversation, it's good to kind of pull that out as well.
Very good point. Actually, validate their information. You're absolutely right. Whoever said that, I didn't see the name, but it's a very good point, and thank you for just reiterating that. It's actually sometimes people have got, then there is a lot of wrong consumption, right? I mean, people actually hear that, they say that, okay, you know what, that house was actually sold for 800,000. You're right. Maybe it's not, it's only sold it for, because you guys have that MLS information. You know what has been sold, what was listed for, what's it terminated and put it back in the market. All those informations, you have it. You may not. So it is important to validate where they're hearing from. And then if you have that information readily available, correct it. And then, that's where you actually put that confidence level. And then you will show the difference, you being a real estate agent. Otherwise, why would they come to you if you have the same information as what they have it? You're absolutely right. So whoever added, thank you for that.
Yeah, just to add on top of what Delano just stated there, there's always a family member that knows more than the real estate agent, the lawyer, and the mortgage broker involved in the real estate transaction. So definitely, as a real estate agent, especially if we're going to meet with new clients, first-time home buyers, and etc., you have to set the standards fairly high. The conversations you have in a car with them, or the conversations you have on the phone with them, it has to be not just knowledgeable, but it has to be intelligent as well. And you have to walk away with something in value. That's what differentiates you versus another real estate agent they already visited. So whenever you look at someone, what I always do when I meet clients, I always make sure in the mortgage world that they are receiving value and they're receiving information that they wouldn't have received before, meeting anyone else. I know a very good real estate agent, not at our office, doesn't work for Home Life Future, but someone that I do a lot of deals for. And this person's policy is, as a real estate agent, his literal policy is, speak to 3 other realtors and then come to me, and then you'll know the difference of who I am compared to who others are. And that's how he shows his value. He works with his team, father and son, doing great business. At the same time, that's how he one, motivates himself, number 2, promotes himself, and number 3, adds value to his services. So those are some type of things that you would want to look for whenever you're dealing with clients. This is for the long term and for the short term, but starting something up like this from the start will definitely help you down the road.
Absolutely right. I mean, it is otherwise, if you don't set you apart from the others, why would they actually come to you? They can actually say, go to online and buy what they wanted, and that's where you're going to show the difference. And how do you going to show the difference is, you know what you're talking about, about your industries, as I mentioned about your governance, your customer service, what you're committing in and all that, staying on that. And there are a lot of legalities are also actually involved into that. Your form, when you're actually going to sign all those, the contract, all those, the buyers representation, sellers, you should be knowing each clause, like, go through that. It is not that when a customer is asking, okay, what is chattel means, what is this document and the disclosure agreement is means. So you don't want to actually look at their eyes. You should be prepared, well prepared, because when you're asking somebody to sign a contract, and if you're not able to explain on all those clauses, obviously, how do you expect them? They will have confidence in you. So you should take some time. And I'm hoping those who have actually, and maybe all experienced agents will knowing all those. But if you don't know, those who are new, take some time, take all those forms, that 102, 103, all those the buyer representation, the seller representation, the seller's contract, the amendment. You have to spend some time and go through each one of them. And maybe not in the lawyer's term, but as on the general, the normal layman's term, you should be able to explain to them and know what they're asking, and then walking them through that professionally. When you're actually signing them, you don't want to assume they're actually really aware of that. Like, I mean, many people don't know what is irrevocabilities, what is, like, I mean, last minute. So that is, you should be knowing as a real estate agents to go through and walk them and explain all those details and all that. So those are the difference you're going to show or set you apart from the, people and the buying somebody through the online or the real estate agents, right? Again, coming back to pre-qualifying, what we are actually focusing, people who wants to sell, or they have to sell. They have to sell is because we think about it. When somebody is actually, they're saying that, okay, when you calling up prospecting, they said that, yes, we are planning to move. Okay, when you're actually doing that, I'll share with you the pre-qualifying script also. So the questions you wanted to ask that, okay, so what is actually, where do you want to move? How soon are you planning to move within 3 months, 6 months, or next year? Right? So those are the things you will actually you can make out. You have to, how they are actually responding back, right? Okay, my child is going to the university, so we have to move from this area. So that is a have, like, I mean, they have some reason to move that. Or somebody said that, what, yeah, we are actually looking for, we are trying to upgrade. So you need to, when they are responding based on that, pay attention to their response. What are they saying they have to, and do they want to, right? It's very important to you when you're pre-qualifying, you actually check that. And again, as I mentioned, 100% of your customers should be pre-qualified, both with the financially and their motivation level. And that should be done with before your appointment is actually fixed. It, like, whether we are taking them to show the houses, or you're going to listing presentation, the pre-qualifying should be done prior to that. And if you don't do the pre-qualifying, what happens? No brainer, right? I mean, you will be spending more time frustrated with themselves, because they're not having, you don't know what they want. They have no desire to buy it. They don't have the money, where they have actually not told you about their bankruptcy going on, or, like, I mean, they've got line of credit, or they have no desire to buy it. Or people who have got the money on the other side, they're not actually planning to move from their neighborhood, because whatever the reason is. So you will get frustrated spending time because you did not pre-qualify them. And where it overpriced listing, the danger with the taking overpriced listing, you won't be able to sell that, right? Because you are really hungry, you didn't do anything. If somebody's saying that, okay, sell my home yesterday, I heard that real estate agents, I was talking to them, they said that, there is a townhome in Mississauga area, and the client said that, get me 1.5. And I asked the real estate agents, what was your response? He said that, oh, I'm going to meet with him. I said, do you want to set the expectation? Like, I mean, it is, when you say that I'm going to come and meet with you and to take a 1.5 million townhome, it is unreasonable, because it's straight away, it says that, this person is actually have no desire to sell it, just wasting time, right? I mean, it is, so you need to actually set the right expectation. And when you take the overpriced listing, the danger is you are not able to sell it, and it's actually backfire you. You will get your name up there, but it's also actually going to get a bad mark in the market, because what happened, they're going to take off the listing from you, give it to some other agent, and everybody is going to talk about that. Okay, this person took the listing, and this real estate agent was not able to sell it. So it will actually, very important, that is when you're taking the listing, and if you pre-qualify, set the right expectation, And if you don't do pre-qualifying, that's where, because you're just hungry to take the listing, and you will take overpriced, and it will only going to set you for failure. And if you don't pre-qualifying, again, working for non-income producing hours. When we talk about the commission, we will talk about what is the producing hours, and how do you actually put the per hour salary for you, because although you are also doing a job, right? I mean, so you should have a per hour salary, and how that's the way you're really going to actually calculate your commission. How do you calculate that whether this listing is or buying is good or bad or something? So you need to have a per hour salary. I would say that you have to put a dollar figure in your forehead. This is what I worth $150 or $200, whatever it is, and you need to actually do that, right? And usually do not prospect. Pre-qualifying, those who don't pre-qualify, they don't prospect because they just got somebody saying that, okay, I wanted to do business with you, because they don't have any other customers, because they're not prospecting, and they don't do pre-qualifying, and they will take something which those who are not really serious, or those who don't have the money. And actually pre-qualifying will increase your listing, because if you have 100 people, and if you really pre-qualify and filter it, those who are serious about it, it is only going to increase your listing. Agreed. Like from 50, when you actually start funneling through that, maybe 20 you will trash it, but at least that 80 of them are actually solid, and that those are actually the serious people. So pre-qualifying will only going to increase your listings. Don't think that you are losing some people, because they're anyway not going to do business with you, so there's no point in keeping them in your database, right? So and it's also actually going to prompt the customer to get additional answers for vague or unclear responses, because that's where pre-qualifying is the time you can really actually prompt them. If somebody says that, well, I'm actually looking somewhere near in this area, so somewhere near doesn't mean anything. So you can actually prompt them, where exactly are you looking? Are you looking for east, west? Are you still going to be in Markham, Mississauga, or Brampton, whatever the areas you're actually looking for? So those clear, and that will help you to actually really plan your showing or listing or investment and whatever you're actually working for your customer. Yeah. And you'll be more proactive in your listing presentations, because you can always refer back to that conversation when you did the pre-qualifying. Mr. Seller, you mentioned you want to list it for X number, so this is what I'm going to actually list it for. Mr. Seller, you mentioned you want the closing as 3 months time. So I'm making sure that we are putting this as a clause as a 3 months, like whatever the things. And you can actually, when you do the pre-qualifying, when you do the listing presentations, you can connect those conversation back. And it's actually, that those are the things going to set you apart. Those are the things it's actually going to make the process much more crystal clear with your customer or client, right? And again, knowledge is power. Understands you might lose those prospects during pre-qualifying. It is, as I mentioned, you might lose some of them, because that's where you will realize that this is not the person you want to do business. Think about it. It is better to lose the customer in the beginning itself rather than in the middle of your transaction, right? That's the worst scenario. As I said, you will get frustrated. You spend a lot of time with non-producing hours, and you're also actually spoiled your name, because you spend a lot of time and this person is not going to do business with you. Whereas if you have done this in the beginning of the transaction, and if that person is not meant for you, at least you are not wasting any more time. So it is good for you. So it is actually, do the pre-qualifying and make sure whether they're going to do business with you or not. So, and one thing which you wanted to actually make sure when you're, pre-qualify with the decision maker, right? And it's not that you talk to somebody in the home, like that's not what you want to do it. The one-legged appointment is the dangerous thing. One-legged appointment means whoever at the home, whether it is husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, father, or son, who is actually going to be the decision maker, who's the house owner. Whenever you're going to actually meet with them, make sure that both the parties are there. If one party is not available, make sure to adjust your schedule to meet with them. Somebody saying that, okay, my wife is going to come only in the evening, you come the morning. So you say that, what time will be available? I can come at that time. Because what happens with the one-legged appointment, you will discuss everything with the person. and all of a sudden when you hear another story, right? I mean, you say that, you know, my wife didn't allow me to sell this, or, you know, they don't want to buy this, and so it's again, it's wasting your time. So make sure that is you're talking with both the decision makers, or whatever the number of decision makers in that house. So you don't want to do a one-legged appointment, right? Who else will be in the decision maker? And these are the things you wanted to actually ask during the pre-qualifying. Book an appointment only when all parties are available. So this is something, you know, what is prospecting and what is not. You know, don't get confused with the prospecting that is, you know, mailing calendars and newsletters. That's not prospecting. That's your marketing. That's your cleaning up your database. You know, setting up website is not prospecting. That's not something which you're connecting with your customers. That's you're actually updating yourself, right? And updating your database is not prospecting. You know, joining services organization and sponsoring event. Actually, prospecting is when you connect with your audience, you know, over the phone or physically or through the email, you know, like all through the media. So that's what it's actually the prospecting is. Again, calling past clients, calling center of influence, right? We mentioned about what a center of influence is, and calling expired listing. And make sure when you're calling the expired listing, for sale by owners, and WCE, this is withdrawn, cancel, and expired. These things, when you're actually doing it, understand the legalities behind that. You have to make sure that is you check the MLS, what is the holdover period, what is those things. I expect you guys to know that, because you guys are all actually professional real estate agents. You know the legalities behind when you're calling the for sale by owners, what's the rule, what's by expired listing, what's the rule, you know, holdover period, and if there is any other restrictions and all that. That's you need to actually make sure that, right? You need to actually do that. And then again, the WCE is the withdrawn, cancel, expired. So again, when you're actually doing that, you need to actually see those informations there. Door knocking, we spoke about it, and hosting open houses. So clearly understands what is prospecting and what is not. Don't get confused with you know, updating mailing lists and all that. It is prospecting and all that. I'm going to actually show you one more thing on the pre-qualifying script. Before I go that, is there any comment anybody wants to add? No? Okay. All right. Can you all see my screen? Pre-qualifying script?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. How is it going so far? Any comment, guys? Chat box? Good. All right. Anything else? Making sense? Okay. All right. Good. Thank you. So pre-qualifying is, you know, some of the things, once you actually get that, somebody it's actually willing to do business with you, something you wanted to actually make sure, you know, before I come out, there are a number of questions I need to ask you. Are you okay with that? Right. I mean, again, this is something, take a picture of this pre-qualifying. I'll send this also. So some of the, again, I'm not saying that you need to by heart this and talk word by word. This is just to give you an idea. But how do you steer the conversations, and how do you actually, what are the things you need to ask them? So make sure, you know, give the disclaimer, like, you know, I need to make sure that is, are you okay with that, right? Just to make you feel comfortable. I understand you clearly. Are you planning to list your home when I come out there, right? I mean, because what are they actually calling for? Are they actually calling to discuss about the listing or buying or investment, or just to have the, you know, conversation about it? So make sure that is what you are going to talk to them, because it is important that is you prepare accordingly. If there it is listing, then of course you have to do your, you know, CMA. You have to actually do some research about the house. You have to check the geo warehouse and make sure that who is the house owner and all those information. So you should be prepared. If it is a listing listing discussions, you're going to, what pricing recommendations you're going in, and where do you come up with that pricing? You know, how do you say that this is actually going to cost you? So you need to do those homework before you go and meet with them. And again, if it is buying, you know, just to get an idea about what they are worth, and also make sure that is just to make you feel comfortable. I understand you clearly. So you and the person who's going to meet is clear, you know, whether it is an investment discussion or a buying or a selling discussion, right? And also ask them, you know, feel free to ask them, like, again, depending on the person whom you're talking, your comfort zone, and you think that you can definitely tweak these words and questions. But these are the things generally you wanted to actually talk to the people where you're going to meet with them. ask them, are you planning to do more agents, or am I the only one? Or are you talking to any other real estate agents? It is okay if they say yes or no, but you will be more prepared, right? I mean, if you know that he's going to, either way, you should be prepared. But again, these are the good questions. We're looking in a specific area, correct? Like, I mean, just ask them, if it is a buyer, make sure that is what they're actually, which area they're looking for. How soon do you have to be there? Because this is very important. If somebody, what is the realistic timelines, you can set it up, whether it's just 2 months, 3 months. And again, as I said, that this will also actually going to help you to understand they have to or they want to, because when they say that, okay, I need to move within 3 months, so you can always ask them, okay, is there any reason 3 months? Is the children are going to different school or whatever, right? How much do you want to list for? They generally have a number. Every people, like, I mean, there is an expectation, whether it is realistic or unrealistic is something that is, you have to help them in understand. But at the same time, what is their expectations? Let them come up with the price first, because you don't want to actually immediately tell them. As I said that, telling is not selling. So to let that house owner say that, whether they say if it is an unrealistic price, it is your job to educate them. You know what, Mr. Seller, you said that you want 2 million. Agreed, the market is hot and all that, but let me walk you through that. Your house does not actually, like, I mean, I suggest you to actually, if you're serious about it, this is the price it's going to do that. So, but let that number, ask, you give the time to throw that number in that, right? And again, you wanted to ask that this is something which is connected with the finance related, how much equity you have it in the property, like, I mean, what's your down payment? Those are all the finance related pre-qualifying, like, I mean, where do they stand, and if there is anything and all that will also help you, because this is a combination about their motivation and the finance level pre-qualifying, right? Are you planning to do any upgrade before we list the house? Like, based on that, or do they have anything like, and then you can actually give the recommendations based on that after seeing their house, right? Then consideration with this, and make sure we were talking about the one-legged appointments. Make sure that is all the decision makers are there, so you're not actually wasting your time. In that way, you are talking to the people who are actually going to really make the decisions. You talk to them and all that. And do you have any other question before I arrive? And reconfirming your appointment. Make sure that is, yes, I'm going to see you at, whatever the time and all that. So I'll send the script. This is the pre-qualifying. As I said, that pre-qualifying will, the first step is database, right? That's first things you actually starting as a real estate agents, and make sure with all the digital footprint, your flyers and the business cards and all the other newsletters and all that, you are actually set it, your database. The second thing is you start making it as a daily practice as prospecting. Once you do the prospecting, once you start getting those name up in the database, your second process is pre-qualifying, right? I mean, when you get the hot deals and all that. So that's the steps you wanted to go that. Now we will talk about the next thing, how do we actually show that negotiation and that, the commission reductions and business plan and all that. We'll talk about that. So that's all for today. Let me see what's in the chat box. Can you please send me all the sites? Okay, all right. Okay, please send me. Okay, the slides will not be actually sensible for you. Like, I mean, slides is not something which is, I don't think it's actually make any sense to you by sending the slides, but I will definitely send the script. And let me make a note of those emails, and I will actually send you those scripts. That's not a problem. I think, I mean, I'll send it to Kanna. That will be the best. Like, I think, I mean, instead of only sending it to few of them, I think I'll send it to Kanna, and then he can share it with you.
We can forward that all to everyone. That's perfectly fine.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Any guys? How was it? Was it helpful? Any feedback?
Yeah, most definitely on my end. If we're looking at newer agents that are ready to go out into the field, especially after the COVID restrictions relief and etc., I think this is a great time for everyone to get an understanding of the things that they should be trying to get used to beforehand, actually before actually stepping in and actually door knocking and etc., or stepping into that field, right? So take everything with a grain of salt, use it with your own intuition, put your own little twist to it. And of course, having a script available really gives you a benefit rather than starting from scratch. So to take everything into consideration, definitely. And there'll be a lot more shared.
Right.
Done.
Yeah, no, I mean, thank you for adding that. Yes, guys, again, the key here is be prepared, right? I mean, expect that questions are going to come, and you are actually taking the time to actually how to answer that, and what is happening in the market, because there is a lot of work. Don't just think that all real estate agents are successful and they're driving Mercedes and wearing nice suits and clothes and all that. It doesn't work in that way, because if they are actually doing it, take a minute and think about it. What did they do different than what you are not doing it, right? I mean, that's the question you have to ask that. So there is a lot of hard work behind this. So you have to make sure that is you stay on top of those things, industry knowledge and industry updates, and you're ready to actually answer the tough questions coming from the clients. Today's date is everything is a customer driven market, because customers are more educated than you, because all the informations are all available in Google and any of the internet sites and all that. So where you have to actually show the difference, find that's not the only information. Somebody actually just mentioned in the beginning, it's not just what they know is correct, also validating and helping them to understand this is right and that's wrong. So it's very important to know that.
Wonderful. To wrap up, I just want to give everyone some notices, if anything. There's a lot of changes. There's a lot of chatter of what's going to happen with the economy, of try to cool down the real estate market. There's a lot of chatter within the Toronto Real Estate Board, government, MPs, banks, and etc. Everyone's already most likely heard about the news that the qualifying rate for mortgages, the stress test, is going to be increased. So there's going to be a lot of updates on that. Today, something very important for people to notice. There's going to be a chat between Lisa Patel, the president of the Toronto Real Estate Board, on a News Talk 1010 with Lane Grant, who is one of the news hosts there. It's going to be today between 3 to 4. I'll send the link out if possible through our WhatsApp and email groups. And they're going to be discussing why capital gains tax on a principal residence is not the best way to start off by cooling off the market. There's going to be a lot of talks about the market insights and what our board, the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board, is doing at the moment to represent us as real estate agents for working for TREB. So do tune in and do know that there's a lot of information out there. Visit the Toronto, our Stratus MLS, go through it. Just don't go to search and start looking at properties. There's a wealth of information there. There's only a handful that we can share out from our end, because the amount of information on the Toronto website, Real Estate Board website, is a lot. So do take your time, do spend some time on that website rather than looking at homes. Look at all the insights, all the market updates, and what the board is doing on our behalf, and use that to your knowledge. And that's something that you can always use when speaking with your clients. And that's one way you can build insight as well. So with that in mind, everyone, good luck. Thank you and have a great day.
Yep. Thank you all. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye now. We'll see everyone next week.
Sure.